Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashfaq and today we will create CI/CD pipeline on the Azure using Jenkins. Our CI/CD pipeline will be having two jobs, CI job and CD job. In CI job, if the developer makes any commit on the GitHub repository, then it will pull the code from the GitHub and it will create the Docker image and it will push it to the Azure Container Registry. Here our CI job will end, and once our CI job finishes, it will automatically trigger the CD job. In the CD job, Docker image will be pulled from the Azure Container Registry and it will be deployed on the Azure App Service using Azure Container App. And all this pipeline will run on simple commit on the repository on the complete automated manner. So let's start building our project. First task is to create the virtual machine and install the Jenkins on it. So on the Azure portal, I will create virtual machine. I want to create the new resource group. I will give the virtual machine name. I will select my region. Image, I will select Ubuntu server 22.04. Size, I will keep standard, and authentication, I will select password. I will give the username Azure admin. I will set the password for the same. Next, next, it will create the new VNet and new subnet and the new public IP for this virtual machine. I will tick here. Next, 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 and create. Okay, virtual machine created. I will copy the public IP of the virtual machine and access it from my system. Okay, so our virtual machine is ready. So before installing the Jenkins, we will have to install the Java in it. I will go ahead and install the Java now. If I give the command java hyphen version, so this is the version of the Java which has been installed in our system. I will now go ahead and install the Jenkins in the system. So this is the Jenkins installation documentation page. I will copy this weekly release and paste it on my server. This command will enable the Jenkins service to start at every boot. I will now go ahead and start the Jenkins service with this command. If I give the command systemctl status Jenkins, so Jenkins service is running in my system. I will now go ahead and install the Azure CLI in my system. From the Azure documentation page, I will copy this command and give it in my server. I will now go ahead and install the Docker in this server. I will allow the access to my current user on the Docker with this command, and now I will allow the access to Jenkins on the Docker with this command. I have added these two users in the Docker group, so I need to reboot my system. I will go ahead and reboot my server. Server is rebooting. Meanwhile, I will go to virtual machine, networking, add inbound rule, port 8080 because Jenkins works on port 8080. Add. I will copy the public IP of the virtual machine and I will access it on the browser with the port 8080. I will reconnect to my server. I will open this path and I will copy the password and I will provide it here. Install suggested plugins. I will give the username as cloud user. I will set the password. So here we have completed the Jenkins server setup. Next task is to create the ACR. On my Azure portal, I will go to container registries, create container registry. I will select my resource group and I will give the name. This name should be unique. I will select my location. SKU, I will select basic. Next, 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 create. ACR created. I will go to ACR. I will go to access keys and here I will enable the admin user. This is the name of my ACR, MyLab ACR 22, and I will copy the password in my local system. ACR created. Now I need to integrate my ACR to the Jenkins. So on the Jenkins, I will go to manage Jenkins, go to plugins, available plugin. I will select here Azure CLI, install. I will go to home page. I will go to manage Jenkins and under security I will go to credentials, system, global credential, and I will click on add. Username and password. Username, I will give the username which is actually the name of my ACR, and I will give here the password which we had created in the previous step, and I will click on create. Now I need to create the service principals on the Azure so that I can integrate my Jenkins to deploy the resources on the Azure. On the Azure portal, I will go to Azure Active Directory, app registration, new registration, and I will give here the name for Jenkins register. I will go to certificates and secrets, and under the client secret I will click here on new client secret. I will give here the name for Jenkins add. I will copy the value of the secret in my local system Now I need to give the access to this secret on my subscription. So I will go to my subscription. I will go to access control IAM, and I will go to role assignment. I will click on add role assignment. Under privilege administrator roles, I will select the contributor and I will click on next. I will keep the tick here on service principal. I will click on select members. I will search here my name of the service principal, which is for Jenkins. I will select this and I will click on select, next, review and assign. Okay, so here we have completed the creation of service principal. Now I will go to my Jenkins to integrate the service principal into the Jenkins, and I am under the credential system, global credentials. I will again click here on add, and kind I will select here Azure service principal. Subscription ID I will copy from my Azure portal. Client ID I will go to my service principal registration, and I will copy the client ID and I will paste it here. Secret, in previous step I have saved it on my local system, so I will provide that secret. Tenant ID I will copy the tenant ID from here and I will provide it here. Azure environment, Azure ID I will give Azure service principal, and I will click here on verify service principal. Okay, so it is successfully verified. I will click on create. So here we have uh, integrated our Jenkins with the Azure portal. Next task is to create the CI job on the Jenkins. So on the Jenkins, I will click here on new item. I will give here the name CI job. I will select the freestyle project and click OK. I will select here Git. This is my GitHub repository. I will provide here my GitHub repository. Branch I will select main. Build trigger I will not select anything as of now. And under the build step I will first create one build step. I will click here on add build step, and I will go to execute shell, and on this shell I will give the commands. First command I will give, which will remove the any directory if it is present with the same name from the workspace folder, and second command will actually clone the GitHub repository to the workspace, and the third command will actually build the Docker image as per the ACR registry. So this is my ACR repository name, and this is the Azure server for the ACR, and this would be the name and tag of my image. And I will again add one more step. I will go to add build step, and this time I will select Azure CLI, and I will select the service principal which we have created, and I will give here the first command which will actually log into my ACR, and then I will have to give one more command. So I will click here on add, and here I will give one more command which will push my local Docker image to the ACR. I will click on apply, save. So CI job has been created. I will go ahead and click on build now. Okay, so CI job completed successfully. If I go to Azure container registries and my registry, and if I go to repositories, so you can see here image is present with the latest tag. Next task is to create the web app. I will go to Azure portal, and I will go to app services, create web app. I will select my resource group. I will give the name. It should be unique. I will select here Docker container. Operating system, I will select Linux. I will select my region. It will create the app service plan. Pricing plan, I will select basic. Next, option single container image source. In the drop down I will select Azure container registry, and I will select my registry name. This is the image name, and this is the tag of the image. Next, 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 create. Okay, so web app created. Next task is to create the cd job on the Jenkins. So on the Jenkins dashboard, I will click on new item. I will give here name cd job freestyle project. Okay. And in this job, I will directly go to build step, and I will click here on add build step, and I will select here Azure CLI. I will select the service principal, and here I will give the command. So this command will actually deploy the container app on the Azure app service. This would be the name of my container. This is my resource group name, and this is my repository name on the ACR, and the image name with the tag. I will select apply, save. I will click on build now. Okay, so build completed, which means it has deployed the container app on the Azure web app. If I go to our web app on the Azure portal and copy the domain name and browse it on the new tab, so here my application is running.
Let's play some Tetris, motherfucker.
Which is the Tetris game. Before verifying our CI/CD pipeline, I will make two changes. First one, on the Jenkins, I will go to CI job and I will set the trigger. I will go to build trigger option and I will tick here poll SCM, and I will give here the schedule. Every minute it will observe the repository every minute. If there is any change, then it will trigger the job. And at the end, under the post build actions, I will click here on add post build action, and I will select this build other project, and here I will select my cd job. So once CI job finishes, it will automatically trigger the cd job. Apply and save. So to make the next change, I will go to the web app on the Azure portal. I will go to deployment center, and continuous deployment I will make it on. Save. I have made the configuration changes on the web app, so I will restart my web app once. Okay, so everything has been set up. Now it's time to verify our CI/CD. So I am connected to my GitHub repository through my local system via git bash, and this is my application. So in the application, let's play is in the green color. I will make it white and we will verify on the application. So on the repository, I will open the code file. I will search here. Let's. So this is our let's play, and here you can see the color is green. I will make it white. I will save the file. I will push the changes to the report repository. So we have pushed the changes. If I go to CI job, it has triggered automatically. CI job completed. If I go to CD job, so it has also triggered automatically upon the completion of the CI job. So CD job also completed successfully. I will go to my application and do the refresh here. So you can see here the color has been changed to white.
Let's play some Tetris, motherfucker.
By this way, you can create the complete automated CI/CD pipeline using Jenkins, ACR, and the Azure web app. Any change on the source repository will trigger the pipeline, and you would be able to see the changes on the application. All the commands used in this video has been given in the description. You can fork my repository, create your own branch, and practice this project. And during practicing this project, if you find any difficulty, you can ask me in the comment section. I will definitely reply to your query. Follow me on the LinkedIn. If you find this video helpful, then like it. A lot of effort went behind this video, so do subscribe to my channel to encourage my work. Share this video with the friends and spread the knowledge. I look forward you to join me in the next video. Thank you.